Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 122 of the Nigeria Football Weekly podcast. Me, your host, Uche. And today I've got another bumper episode for your listening pleasure. Of course, if you've been watching anything about Nigerian football, you know that today was an exciting day because we had the Super Eagles list for our World Cup Qualifiers against Rwanda and Zimbabwe released. So I'm going to be touching on that as the main talking point of this episode. And then, of course, going through how our players performed over the past week. I'm recording this on Tuesday, March 11th. So, of course, as an Arsenal fan, I've just enjoyed watching Liverpool go out to PSG. Commiserations to any Liverpool fans watching this episode of this podcast, but, you know, the game is the game. So, shout out to Paris for a beautiful win. Before I get into it, also, I'm recording this just past midnight. So, today is March 12th, which is actually my birthday. So, I have one birthday wish to ask for everybody. Please, if you're listening to this, if it's your first time stumbling across the podcast, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've been seeing really good growth over the past 2 months, and long may it continue. I appreciate every single listener, so please make sure you give a like if you enjoy the content. Comments are always welcome. You know, I want to continue to level up the podcast, but please just take a second, subscribe, share the word. If you're listening to this on any DSP channels like Spotify or Apple, please just take a second to just give us a rating or to follow us. It helps massively in terms of our outreach and our output and us getting the podcast to continue to grow. So I really, really appreciate that if you could take a second. So, what's happened? We know that the camp opens up on Sunday, and Eric Chelle has finally selected his first 23-man squad list, whittling it down from the initial selection of 39 players. Who has made the final cut? Goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali is in. We have Amaso Basogi and Kayode Bankole as the goalkeepers. Defenders, interestingly enough, only 6 defenders were called up. Centre-backs, Trust Ekong, Calvin Bassey, and Igor Ugbo, who's a new invitee. And then we've also seen 3 fullbacks called up. Ola Aina, Bruno Yemachi, and Bright Osayi-Samuel. In midfield, we have Iwobi, Wilfred Ndidi, Rafael Yedika as the staples. Aribo has also been recalled into the national team squad. And then we've seen Alassane Yusuf and Papa Daniel Mustafa, who plays in MPFL, selected. Forwards, interesting enough, I've seen 4 strikers called up, even though we'll likely play 1. But I must caveat that this is going to be Eric Chelle's first game of Nigeria, so we're not really sure what formation he's going to use. Maybe he's going to surprise us and play with 2 strikers, but I think it's quite interesting that he has 4 strikers selected. So Victor Osimhen has been called up, of course. Victor Boniface has been called up, of course. I've also seen Umar Sadiq rewarded for his great form in La Liga recently with the call-up, as well as Tella Kudare, who's been doing massively amazing things in Belgium and has been rewarded for his exploits by getting called up. We've also seen in the wing position Samuel Chukwueze, Ademola Lookman, Moses Simon. We know those are automatic picks. And for me personally, I'm very, very happy to see Nathan Tella make the squad because I think he absolutely deserves to be in that list. In fact, I almost believe he should be starting in right wing, to be honest. But we'll leave that for another day when we do the preview. So who's been dropped from the initial 39-man list? Goalkeepers Maduka Okoye and Dele Bashiru have been dropped. Defenders Gabriel Osho, Zedu Sanusi, Jordan Tornariga, and Ifeanyi Onyebuchi have been dropped. In midfield, we saw Frank Onyeka, Sans Uche, Anthony Dennis, and Dele-Bashiru dropped. While in the forward line, we saw Cyril Dessers, Onuachu, Ako Adams dropped. And then wingers, we saw Ejuke, Musa dropped. And Iheanacho has also been dropped. So what do I think of the initial list? I mean, positives for me, as I already mentioned, Nathan Tella. I think there's no reason why Nathan Tella should not be in the list, considering he has been performing for Bayer Leverkusen. Good to see Aribo make the list, although I do have my thoughts, especially with Sans Uche not making the final squad, and also Frank Onyeka. You know, I think those are quite interesting omissions. No offense to Musa, but I think that's the right decision. You know, he's done his time, and there's no reason he should be selected in the squad with the plethora of attackers we have at our disposal. Who else? Iheanacho. Positive. There's no reason Iheanacho should be in the list. I think I saw a quote that apparently was by Osnego saying it would be unfair if Iheanacho did not make the 39-man list initially. Bro, national team is not a charity. You have to earn your spot there. And Iheanacho is not earning his stripes. Even in the championship right now for Middlesbrough, he's not playing very well for them at all. So no surprise there. And Igbo, I'm quite happy to see Igbo called up into the national team. You know, he's been someone I've been clamoring for a while. Although I think it's quite interesting when you look at some of the defenders that have been omitted. My main questions about the list, my main grip has to be with the central midfield slots. Yes, we know that Ndidi, Onyeka, and Alex will be automatically select themselves as the first choice trio that should start. I'm not too mad at Dele-Bashiru not being called up simply because he's been injured. He was on the bench for Lazio's last game, so it may be a thing where Lazio, you know, just puts in a word that please let him recover from his injury, and he's not match fit to prosecute those games for the Super Eagles. However, for Uche not to be called up on the back of how he's been playing for Getafe, they just beat Atletico Madrid. Powerhouse, all-action midfielder. He's been playing so well for Bordelas' Getafe team over the past 2-3 months. There's no reason or there's no way Uche did not deserve a call-up. I don't care how you slice this bread. You know, what makes matters even worse is the fact that we saw Alassane Yusuf called up, who's been playing in MLS that just started their season. So this is why I always say it's a shame we don't have press conferences for the manager to explain selections. If we want to be a big national team and be respected, we have to have press conferences where the manager can explain his selections when he makes these decisions. You know, they also called up Papa Daniel Mustafa. I have nothing against Papa Daniel Mustafa. I'll admit I haven't watched him play like that. But you cannot tell me he deserves a call-up ahead of Uche or Frank Onyeka. Frank Onyeka's Olberg are unbeaten in 9 games. They've kept 5 straight clean sheets. They've literally been playing so well in the Bundesliga so far. And we know Frank Onyeka, we know what he did in AFCON for Nigeria. So this one really baffles me. As far as I know, Frank Onyeka is not injured. So how on earth has he been dropped? And somehow Alassane Yusuf and Papa Daniel Mustafa have been called up. These are the kind of questions that always make us believe that the manager is not selecting the list. Because there's no argument you can use by merit to tell me that Papa Mustafa Daniel and Alassane Yusuf deserve call-ups over Onyeka and Uche. So that's my biggest grip on this list. Secondly, I don't know, Nigeria, we have this Johnny Bravo syndrome. Yes, we know that we're blessed with attackers, but you cannot tell me in a 23-man squad list that it makes sense to call up only 6 defenders. It makes no sense. You've literally called up 3 centre-backs, that's it. Yes, that means we'll likely play 4 at the back with 2 centre-backs, but what do you mean you've only selected 3 centre-backs? So Gabriel Osho has been dropped. Why? He's playing well in Ligue 1. He's begin to settle into the national team. He had a rough AFCON qualifiers here or there, but he's still settling into the squad. Why has he been dropped? You know, and then, yes, you pick a Gobo, which I'm not mad at. They've completely ignored Akpoguma. I don't know what Akpoguma has done to them, or maybe not go and beg, I don't know. But it's just a very interesting list, you know. We have 4 strikers in the team and 3 centre-backs. But we're going to play 1 striker and 2 centre-backs. Guys, this is simple maths. Please, someone explain to me. What happens if there are injuries after the first game? That means we're literally relying on Ekong and Bassey to play 90 minutes from both games. Igbo may get, you know, minutes here or there, but it's World Cup Qualifier. So it's not the time for experimenting. So I find it quite interesting. Yes, you could say Sanusi is just coming back from fitness, but he started to play games for Porto. So at the very least, you should have caught up Sanusi, in my opinion. At least have 7 defenders. You know, I could even manage the 3 centre-back scenario. But it's just a very interesting one because I'd rather they even keep it with the 3 full-backs with Aina, Onyemachi, and Osayi-Samuel because, you know, Calvin Bassey can play left-back. But to only call 3 centre-backs is quite interesting. I'm not too mad at Boniface being selected because I think when we look at the talent of the national team, Osimhen and Boniface are, alongside Lookman, are our most talented attackers. Yes, Boniface has not yet done it for the national team, but there's no doubt about his talent. And I think we have to nurture him in the national team and make sure he keeps getting caught up. Because look, Boniface is destined for big things. He's already done big things in his career. He's won the Bundesliga. A lot of Nigerian players will never win a top 5 league title in their career. So I'm not too mad about that. Osayi-Samuel is an interesting one because he has not played a game since the 27th of February. Is he going to be fit? You know, it's literally slim pickings, which means you're literally going to see Aina and Onyemachi probably start because I'm not sure about Osayi's fitness right now. Also, Kayode Bankole was called up as a goalkeeper. He has not started in the last 3 games for Remo Stars. Maduka Okoye is back from fitness and actually started for Udinese over the weekend. So please, what did Maduka do to these people that they didn't call Maduka up? Unless there was some kind of agreement between Udinese and national team of saying, you know, you're not going to start Maduka, so allow him to continue to recover. But it's a bit baffling, in my opinion. You know, who would you say is very unlucky not to have been called up from the players dropped? As I said, Maduka Okoye already. Osho and Sanusi is an interesting one. As I already said, Onyeka and Uche, that one really baffles me. You know, I think Cyril Dessers is very unlucky because he's been playing really well. But to be honest, there's only so many players you could pick because our strikers have been doing really well. I know I've seen some comments right talking about how is Umar Sadiq picked, but bro, that guy's been balling in La Liga for the past 5 games. Like, February has literally turned his career around that much. So I'm not even mad at the Umar Sadiq pick. And Aroko Dare, you can't really begrudge Aroko Dare being called up, you know. This is a guy that's constantly doing it throughout the whole season for Genk. And he gets the opportunity to step into the big time. Will he play any minutes? It's unlikely, but you never know. Let's see how it goes. So, quite interesting there. But at the very least, it's good to see players like Iheanacho and Musa dropped. Nothing against them, but we knew that 39-man provisional list was for show. It was always going to be whittled down to 23 players. But, you know, anyway, that's what we've seen from the forward line. We'll do another preview episode just before the game against Rwanda. But we can now look forward to watching the Super Eagles play, which is always exciting. And we wish Eric Chelle all the best because, make no mistake about it, if we do not get 6 points from these 2 games, forget about the World Cup. This is probably our 2 most important games since the AFCON final last year in Abidjan. So hopefully we wish Super Eagles well and Eric Chelle will get the boys firing on all cylinders. So that's it in terms of national team news. In terms of goal scorers and top performances from Nigerian players over the past week, I mean, just amazing to see. Ola Aina, I have to talk about him. Nottingham Forest beat Manchester City 1-0 at the City ground. I mean, he put in yet another amazing shift, kept a clean sheet. I heard in the Premier League, he's the defender who's made the most recoveries in his defensive third out of every player. What a player. Like, honestly, he's even a shining beacon along with Lookman for why one national player should even play for us because, oh my God, without Ola Aina right now, man, that guy is a pillar of a national team. You know, and I just wanted to call out how well he's done. He's made 105 recoveries. It's the most than any other player in the top 5 league. Not even just the 13 more than the next best. So Ola Aina continue to shine, man. And Nottingham Forest looks like we may just see Aina play in Champions League. He's not yet signed a new contract because he's out of contract in the summer. But all indications suggest that if Nottingham Forest make the Champions League, I'm sorry, they're going to offer him a new contract. So keep flourishing. Alex Iwobi also gets a shout out from me. It's a shame that Fulham lost the game to Brighton. Last minute penalty by João Pedro. But if you see Alex Iwobi's assist, Fulham is a textbook way of knowing how he should play for Nigeria and the kind of freedom he deserves to be given. He picked the ball up about 70 yards away from his opponent's goal, ran literally almost the full length of the pitch from the right-hand side and put in an absolutely delicious ball straight to Raul Jimenez, who just chested the ball and banged it into the net. So Alex Iwobi continues to have the best season of his career and hopefully he could translate that form into the national team. I also have to shout out Ademola Lookman, you know, Aribo. I don't know if anybody watches Serie, but my God, they had probably one of their best performances ever in Serie on Sunday. They went to Juventus, to the Alliance Stadium and beat Juventus 4-0. Like, Atalanta were on fire, man. And Lookman scored the 4th goal just to add a little sprinkle on the win, you know. It was 3-0 already. Vlahovic made a mistake, passed the ball to Lookman. Lookman carried the ball just with intent. I mean, we already know African football out there for a reason anyway. And he just put the ball into the net. Just a fantastic goal. So hopefully, next up for Atalanta, they play Inter Milan at home. So that's a great opportunity for them to make up some ground in the title race because they're only 3 points behind. And best believe the Serie A title race is going to go all the way down to the wire. So shout out to Ademola Lookman. Uche as well, he needs to get a shout out for his performance for Getafe over the weekend. And Atletico Madrid were winning 1-0 until the 87th minute, and then Angel Correa got a red card. And then one of the midfielders, he has an interesting name, Amrabini. He scored 2 goals in the 89th minute and 92nd minute. But if you watch Uche's display, he was a workhorse everywhere. Powerhouse. Just phenomenal player. Eric Chelle needs to come and explain why Uche is not on that squad, because honestly, hand on heart, it makes no sense to me. But keep doing your big work, Uche, and I promise you, there's AFCON at the end of this year. Just keep shining. You're making yourself too good to ignore. And yes, there's going to be qualifiers in September and October. So just allow this one. Let NFF come and explain what's happening now. There'll be friendlies in June, so let's see what happens. But Uche continues shining. Umar Sadiq. I've been a critic when he has not been performing. But when a player is shining, we all want Nigerian players to do well. We must also praise them for their success. Umar Sadiq scored yet again for Valencia as they beat Real Valladolid 2-1 to move off the relegation zone. He scored the winner for Valencia. It was 1-1, and he scored a fantastic goal. The ball was hit. Long ball. He chested it. Initially, his first touch was bad, and it looked like goalkeeper was going to get in before him. But just sheer determination, he just poked the ball and smashed it into the net. Honestly, fantastic finish. And what I like about Umar Sadiq is his determination. He had already missed about 3 gilt-edged chances throughout this game, but he did not stop. He literally just kept going. So now they're out of relegation zone. He scored 3 goals in his last 2 games, 4 goals in his last 4 games, and you have to say he's earned his place in the squad. So Umar Sadiq, keep shining and keep doing your thing. I love the confidence. I'm not so sure about the celebration though. He's copying that Boniface celebration where he tries to sag his pants. Are we in secondary school again? So, but anyway, shout out to you, Umar Sadiq. That was a brilliant performance. Also, I have to shout out Chidera Ejuke. Yes, he was not called up because it was always going to be a tough one. There's only really one spot for an additional winger, considering in fact Chukwueze, Lookman and Simon are automatic picks, and you have to still keep the core of your national team together. And I think that Tella deserved the call-up ahead of everybody else. But Ejuke, back from injury, scored his first goal since September for Sevilla, and it was the winner against Real Sociedad away. So fantastic performance. This now puts Sevilla in the top 10, and they could even make a late fight for a European spot with 11 games to go. So watch out for this space. And it was a really, really good finish. You know, with his right foot put into the bottom corner. So shout out to Chidera Ejuke. Gabriel Osho also has to be shouted out. He got a clean sheet for Auxerre in a 2-0 win over against Reims. 100% passing accuracy, 1 block, 4 clearances, 2 headed clearances, 2 recoveries. Literally an all-action performance from a centre-back. And honestly, I think he's very unlucky not to be called up into the national team. Of course, we have to shout out Ijaya Olusosun, Victor Osimhen. He scored the winner for Galatasaray yet again. And in this game, they were behind against, I think it's Alanyaspor. It was 1-1, and then he scored a header in the final 10 minutes to seal the victory. He now has 17 league goals, and he's just 1 goal away from the top goal scorer in the Turkish league, which is Krzysztof Piatek, the Polish striker who once played for AC Milan and Genoa. It's looking very likely that Osimhen will end up being the top goal scorer in the Turkish league. Yes, Turkey is the 18th best league in Europe. I must always caveat that. We know Osimhen is better than the league, but at the very least, he's going to win. He's already won the love and affection of the fans. He's going to end up with the league title most likely, and he's going to carry his bags and probably move to the Premier League in the summer. But I just love to see him dominate as he should do in such a league which is clearly above. Bruno Iheanacho was also really good for Olympiacos, must be said. After his cameo in the Europa League, he started a game over FC Crete over the weekend, and he made 3 clearances, 2 interceptions, and also 8 recoveries. He was also quite good going forward, and hopefully this could blossom into more starts for him. And actually, I love the way Iheanacho's career trajectory is going. So no more insults from me. He doesn't play for Boavista anymore. He plays for Olympiacos, who are a big team, you know, and a team they're owned by Nottingham Forest's owner. So that just tells the ambition of the man. You know, Edu is going to be the director of football for the whole Marinakis group. So that includes Olympiacos, Nottingham Forest, and a few other clubs. So shout out to Iheanacho. Also, I have to shout out Cyril Dessers. I thought he was unbelievable for Rangers in the Europa League game against Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce. To go away to Istanbul and beat Fenerbahce 3-1 in a Europa League tie. Dessers scored a goal, but he had 2 goals disallowed for marginal VAR decisions. He was unplayable. Like, honestly, he was so good. Even me, he shocked me. I'm like, he even got an assist in this game. Like, he was fantastic. So shout out to Cyril Dessers. I'm very, very unlucky not to be called up for the national team. I think it's the strength of the league that probably cost against him, but you could also argue he could have been called up ahead of Aroko Dare, but I'm not here to dull anybody shine. Either of them would have still sat on the bench for Osimhen and co. And then also Stanley Nwabali, even though his team lost 1-0 to Orlando Pirates, he made 7 saves to keep the scoreline quite close, and of course he's our national team number 1. So whenever Stein Nwabali does well for Nigeria, we're obviously very, very pleased and happy to see. So those are the standout performances that we've seen over the past week in terms of the national team players, and long may it continue as the season progresses. One thing to mention, since I'm recording this on Tuesday, we've already seen Tella's Bayer Leverkusen also play in the Champions League second leg game against Bayern Munich. Unfortunately, they got thrashed 2-0 by Bayern Munich today, so 5-0 on aggregate. It's so funny because there was all this smoke about how Xabi Alonso has never lost to Bayern Munich, former Bayern Munich player, maybe the next Real Madrid manager, and guess what? Vincent Kompany and Bayern Munich just packed them out of here. Do you know what it means for you to little bro your little bros like that? 5-0 in the Champions League. Everybody say Bayern Munich, they're dead. They're not gonna dominate. Bayern Munich say, hold my beer. We're still the kings of Germany and Bavaria. Don't ever watch that. So I thought that was quite interesting. But congratulations to Leverkusen, and hopefully they could at least still finish the season strong, especially because they lost their league game over the weekend. So moving on to the player reviews, and of course starting with the Premier League. As I already mentioned, Ola Aina was exceptional for Nottingham Forest in their 1-0 win over Man City, which means that they're now in pole position for that Champions League spot, and they consolidate their spot in third place. Awoni was a late substitute in this game, but next up for the boys, they play Ipswich away on Saturday, so hopefully more 3 points for them. Alex Iwobi, as I mentioned, got an assist in Fulham's 2-1 loss to Brighton. Very unlucky. The penalty that João Pedro got. João Pedro is a very good penalty winner, I won't lie to you. He just has this knack for doing interesting things that win pens. And fair play to him, he stepped up in 98 minutes and dispatched the pen. But Bassey also played in this game, so congratulations to Fulham boys. And next up for them, they play Tottenham at Craven Cottage on Sunday, so they should get back to winning ways, hopefully. Wilfred Ndidi, I don't even know what to say about Leicester again. Yes, they lost 1-0 to Chelsea, so you can say it wasn't too bad, but Leicester are going down. And let's see what Ndidi does in the summer. Next up for Ndidi and Co, they play Manchester United at home on Sunday. We know Man United's woes and how Man United were lucky to beat Leicester in the FA Cup. So this should be quite a close game between two teams that are, in the bottom half of the Premier League, so to speak. And as for the Southampton boys, both Aribo and Onuachu came on in 83rd minute as they lost 3-1 to Liverpool. They were actually winning this game 1-0 at half-time, courtesy of a goal from Smallbone, but Liverpool got 2 dodgy penalties. I don't want to talk too much, but anyway, since PGML is not around for Champions League, we see what happened today with PSG. Ici c'est Paris. And anyway, Southampton's boys, their next game is against Wolverhampton at home, so that's a relegation battle, but we know Southampton are definitely going down. So let the boys just enjoy themselves, and hopefully Aribo can start the game as he prepares to join the national team camp, because after this weekend we'll have the international break. What other results did not include Nigerian players? We saw Crystal Palace beat Ipswich Town 1-0. We saw Aston Villa beat Brentford 1-0. We saw Wolves draw 1-1 with Everton in the late kickoff on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we saw Tottenham draw 2-2 against Bournemouth. How Bournemouth did not win this game 5-0 is beyond me. But this is why you have to take your chances, and why the most important thing in football is putting the ball in the back of the net. Manchester United drew 1-1 with Arsenal. We saw Bruno Fernandes score a free kick. I don't know what was happening at Arsenal's wall, man. Anthony Taylor put them like 12 yards behind. But shout out to Declan Rice for outstanding performance. Although Arsenal and Arteta, I don't know if we'll forgive you for this Premier League campaign you showed up this year, man. You be telling us about phase 1 to phase 5. Project. And now we're 15 points behind Liverpool. Explain that to me. But you know what? It is what it is. It's not about Arsenal today. And then we saw Newcastle beat West Ham 1-0 yesterday on Monday in the Monday Night Football game. What are the Premier League games to look forward to before the international break comes? Everton will play West Ham in a 3 p.m. kickoff game on Saturday. There's no early kickoff on Saturday. Southampton hosts Wolverhampton as well on a 3 p.m. kickoff. This is all 4 p.m. Nigeria time, by the way. Ipswich Town play Nottingham Forest. Manchester City hosts Brighton at the Etihad. And Bournemouth play Brentford at home in the late Saturday kickoff. On Sunday, because of the Carling Cup final, which will be Newcastle versus Liverpool at Wembley, we've got 2 early kickoff games, which will be 2:30 p.m. in Nigeria, 1:30 p.m. in the UK. Arsenal hosts Chelsea at the Emirates, so hopefully we could get back to winning ways, because we haven't won a Premier League game in our last 3. And then Fulham hosts Tottenham at Craven Cottage at the same time. There will be a late kickoff game at 8 p.m. Nigeria time, 7 p.m. UK time, between Leicester City and Man United, so look out for that. The table, Liverpool are running away with it, 70 points ready from 29 games. They're looking imperious. It's going to be done and dusted very soon. One thing to mention though is fourth place Chelsea on 49 points, and Fulham in 10th place with 42 points are separated by 7 points. So there's all to play for between 3rd to 10th when you look at the league table. In fact, if we even add Crystal Palace in 11th, they're on 39 points. So it's quite an interesting run towards the end of the season. And then you have the two, as I like to say, dumb and dumber. Tottenham and Man United, 13th and 14th, both with 34 points, just in their own abyss of their wilderness of nothing. So look out for that one. Moving on to Serie, I already mentioned Ademola Lookman's exceptional performance for Atalanta. They've done themselves a world of good, as I said. They play Inter Milan on Sunday, 7:45 p.m. kickoff in Nigeria. Their next 5 games are incredibly tricky, as I've said. Inter at home, Fiorentina away, Lazio at home, Bologna at home, Milan away. All of these 5 games are teams in the top 9 sides in Serie at the moment. But if a team is capable of continuing to flourish, it is Atalanta, especially because they have no distraction in terms of the Coppa Italia or the Champions League, and they could just focus on their league games. As for Samuel Chukwueze, he was on the bench for Milan as they came from behind to beat Lecce 3-2, but they remain 9th in the league. Dele-Bashiru was back on the bench for Lazio after recovering from injury in their 1-1 draw against Udinese yesterday on Monday. So hopefully he'll get some minutes on Thursday in the Europa League where Lazio play Victoria Pilsen. They're 2-1 up from the first leg, so they should pretty much get a routine win into the quarterfinals. And in the league, they'll play Bologna away on Sunday. As for Maduka Okoye, very, very good to see him back in action and starting. You know, we're a bit worried about the new goalkeeper they bought in, but Maduka continues to be the best Nigerian goalkeeper in terms of his performances in big clubs. You can't take that away from him, whether the FF continue to try or not. He made 4 saves as Udinese drew 1-1 against Dele-Bashiru's Lazio. In the Bundesliga, Nathan Tella and Victor Boniface were on the bench last week for that 3-0 thrashing that they chopped in Bayern Munich. And then over the weekend, Tella played 90 minutes and Boniface was an unused sub as Leverkusen lost at home to Werder Bremen 2-0. As I said earlier today, they also chopped the L. Nathan Tella did not come off the bench, but Victor Boniface did. But of course, to no effect on this particular occasion, unfortunately. Next up for them, it doesn't get any easier though. They play Stuttgart away on Sunday in the league. So look out for that game. Moving on to Frank Onyeka, as I said, really, really annoying that he wasn't called up for the national team. 90 minutes, he did get a yellow card, but Orban beat Borussia Dortmund 1-0 away. Big result. Unbeaten in the last 9 games. In fact, they've kept 5 straight clean sheets, and Onyeka plays as DM. So please tell me how Chele could not call up Onyeka, who has a lot of clout in the national team considering how he performed in AFCON. But somehow Alassane Yusuf in the MLS and Papa Daniel Mustafa of Niger Tornadoes merited a spot in the team. Then later they'll tell us that there's no NFF interference in Eric Chele's selecting the list. I'm sorry, but there's some mago that sounds like it's happening here. But anyway, hopefully we'll not have to see Mustafa play or Hassan play. We move on. Gift Urban, on the other hand, him and Akpoguma both started. Orban played 80 minutes while Akpoguma came off the bench as Hoffenheim drew 1-1 against Heidenheim. I think Gift Urban's been unlucky not to have been called up for any of these 39-game selections, considering some of the players that have been called up, especially Iheanacho. But we leave down for another day. And of course, in La Liga, I already mentioned Umar Sadiq's winner for Valencia. Beautiful performance from Umar Sadiq. Next up, though, they play Girona away, so that's going to be a tough game on Saturday. Uche as well, I touched on his amazing performance for Getafe as they beat Atletico Madrid 2-1. Next up for them, they play Osasuna away. Just a message for Uche, if he sees this, please just keep your head up, man. You're a star boy. You're made for signs and wonders. Just keep doing your thing. Keep plugging away. Your time will come. And hopefully Eric Chile will explain some of these selections. And it's quite a shame that these players don't even get calls from the national team handlers ahead of these national team squads being released to explain why they were not in the squad, so to speak. So hopefully we'll get that rectified in the future. And I already spoke on Ejuke's exploit, scoring the winning goal for Sevilla in the game against Real Sociedad, while Ako Adams was not in the squad. So next up for Sevilla, they play Atletico Bilbao at home on Sunday. And finally, in terms of the top 5 leagues, we saw Ilenikhena play 16 minutes as Monaco drew 1-1 against Toulouse. NFF, go and call this boy up. He only has Nigerian nationality. Stop wasting our time. Lock this boy down. He's clearly a superstar of the future. Go and call him up. Show some wisdom. For once. Anyway, next up for him, Monaco play Angers away as they continue to chase a Champions League spot. As for Osayi-Samuel, he came off the bench to play 90 minutes as Nantes lost 1-0 to Strasbourg. They remain in 14th place with not really much to play for, and the next game is against Lille at home on Saturday. As for Akpoguma, he was on the bench last week for Lille's game against Dortmund, and over the weekend he came on to play 22 minutes as Lille beat Montpellier 1-0 on Saturday. We will see Akpoguma in action tomorrow in the Champions League against Dortmund. Lille are the home side. They've got a 1-1 draw from the first leg, so they'll be feeling confident about their chance of progressing into the quarterfinals of the Champions League to play Barcelona. So look out for that game. And then they play Nantes away on Saturday. Gabriel Oshio's Auxerre, I already mentioned his performance, 2-0 win. And next up, they play Nice away on Friday ahead of the international break. While Hamzat Ojediran's Lens, he came off the bench 83rd minute to shore up the game. Lens scored a 94th minute winner against Marseille away on Saturday. So really big result for them. And also good result for their coach Will Still, because his partner was quite ill over the week. So for him to have still come from England to go back to France and get such a big win at the Stade Velodrome is quite a big result for Lens. Next up for them, they play Rennes at home on Saturday. And that's it in terms of the top 5 leagues in Europe. Just to round up the podcast, starting with the other leagues, of course, I already mentioned Victor Osimhen's amazing performance for Galatasaray against Alanyaspor. 17th league goal of the season, and yet another winning goal to take Galatasaray from the brink of a draw. Next up for them, they play Antalyaspor at home on Friday ahead of Osimhen linking up with the national team. Osayi-Samuel is still injured, so he's not been featured for Fenerbahce, but let's see if he's fit enough to play a part for the Super Eagles in our games against Rwanda and Zimbabwe. As for Anthony Dennis, he was dropped from the initial list, but his Gotsebe team remains 6th, even though they lost 3-1 to Sivasspor on Sunday. And next up, they play Eyüpspor at home on Sunday. David Okereke also played 90 minutes for Gaziantep as they beat Besiktas 2-1 on Monday. So that's a big result for Gaziantep as they remain 8th. Zedu Sanusi for Porto came off the bench in 77th minute as Porto lost 1-0 to Braga on Saturday. This has to be the worst Porto side in a long time, man. Villas Boas, you're the president. Sort it out, man. What's going on? But next up for them, they play AVS Football SAD at home on Saturday. So look out for that game. Solaro Kadari played 85 minutes for Genk as they beat FCV Denda 1-0 on Saturday. Next up for them, they play Union Saint-Gilloise on Saturday, so hopefully he can get back to scoring ways. And the boost of him being called up will also add to his ginger to play this match. As for Rafael Edika, he played 45 minutes, got a yellow card as Club Brugge beat Cercle Brugge 3-1 on Sunday. He probably played 45 minutes because they have an eye on their Champions League tie tomorrow, where they'll be playing Aston Villa at Villa Park. So look out for that one, although it's going to be a tough one because they lost 3-1 at home, even though they're very unlucky. But as I said in last week's episode, I think it's karma from their luck that they got against Atalanta, because they're very lucky to beat Atalanta. And then on Sunday, we'll see them play Sporting Charleroi. As for Jordan Torunariga, unlucky not to be called up, but he played 90 minutes for Ghent as they beat Royal Antwerp 1-0. They remain 6th in the league, and next up for them, they play Kotrigic at home. In Greece, I already mentioned Onyemachi's brilliant performance for Olympiacos over the weekend against Crete. It must be mentioned that he played 9 minutes in the Europa League round of 16 on Thursday as Olympiacos got thrashed 3-0 by Bodo Glimt. So the European adventure is pretty much likely over, but you just never know. It's still football. Let's see what happens on Thursday in the 5:45 p.m. kickoff, which will be 6:45 p.m. in Nigeria. And in Scotland, as I already mentioned, Cyril Dessers was unbelievable for Rangers in their game against Fenerbahce on Thursday. Mourinho's team are probably done, but if there's a manager and a team that could pull off an upset at Ibrox, it could be Fenerbahce. But if you ask me, I think this tie is done and dusted. And hopefully we could see Cyril Dessers continue to play well in this game. Leon Balogun also played in this game. He came off the bench in 29th minute due to an injury to his teammate. And they didn't have any game this weekend as they're preparing for the second leg. So look out for that game. And then after, they've got the big Old Firm derby on Sunday as they play Celtic away. But there's no chance of them winning the league in Scotland. So that one is just a formality. As for Daniel Daga, he was on the bench for Molde in their Conference League game against Legia Warsaw, which they won 3-2 on Thursday. Let's see if he gets any minutes in the second leg this Thursday that's coming. And I already mentioned what Stein Orbali did for Chippa United despite their 1-0 loss to Orlando Pirates. Next up for them, they play Polokwane City at home on Saturday. So what are the ones to watch from the remaining fixtures we have this week? Tomorrow is Wednesday, so remember, Aston Villa play Club Brugge in the Champions League, 6:45 p.m. in Nigeria. Watch out for Onyeka. I think he's destined for big things. I'm telling you, Onyeka needs to be the pillar of our national team's midfield now. They just give him the keys and tell him to drive. Keep going. So watch that game if you have the opportunity. And then we'll also see Chiba Akpom's Lille host Borussia Dortmund with a chance to make the quarterfinals of the Champions League. On Thursday, let's see if Dele-Bashiru is fit for Lazio as they play Rafael Durosimi's Victoria Pilsen in the Europa League. Lazio are, of course, in the driving seat after winning 2-1 away. We will also see Olympiacos' Bruno Yemachi play against Bodo Glimt in 6:45 p.m. Nigeria time. And then we'll see Sirodezes and Leon Balogun's Rangers host Fenerbahce. Maybe Osayi-Samuel may be fit. This one that they've added him to Nigeria list, even though he has not played since February 27th. So watch out for that one. And then we'll also see Daniel Daga's Molde go away to play Leg Jawoso as they try to hold on to their 3-2 lead from the first leg. On Friday, we then see our star striker Osimhen's Galatasaray host Antalyaspor, 5:30 p.m. kickoff. This game is on ESPN in Nigeria for all of you that have that package. So continue to support our star player. On Saturday, back to Premier League action, and we'll see Ola Aina and Taiwo when he's not in first go away to play Ipswich Town. Why they almost say United. And then we'll see Onuachu and Aribo Southampton host Wolverhampton, 4 p.m. Nigeria time. We'll then see Battle of Two Nigerias, Moses Simon's Nantes host Lille, who have Chuba Akpom, 5 p.m. Nigeria time. And then we see Umar Sadiq's Valencia play Girona away in a late Saturday night kickoff game. On Sunday, in the Old Firm derby, we'll see Sirodezes and Leon Balogun's Rangers go up against Celtic. And then we'll see Alex Iwobi and Calvin Bassey's Fulham host Tottenham Hotspur, 2:30 p.m. Nigeria time. Chidera Ejuke's Sevilla play Athletic Bilbao at home. Athletic Bilbao are currently fourth in the driving seat for the Champions League in Spain, while Sevilla tried to still see if they could make a late push for a Europe spot. So this should be a very tasty game. Hopefully, Kristan's Uche continues good form for Getafe as they host Osasuna. They go away to play Osasuna. So hopefully he could put the disappointment of not being caught up to Nigeria behind him and just continue to flourish for his club side in the main time. We'll then see Tella and Boniface's Leverkusen play Stuttgart in a late kickoff on Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Nigeria time. And then we'll find these Leicester host Manchester United in the Premier League, 8 p.m. Nigeria time. Finally, the big one for me, Ademola Lookman's Atalanta host Inter. Inter are probably the best team in Italy. They're current champions. They're the sole Italian representative still in the Champions League, and they'll play Bayern Munich in the replay of the 2010 Champions League final. So this is a big opportunity for Ademola Lookman's Atalanta to lay down a marker. They haven't won any of their last 2 or 3 home games, even though they've been thrashing teams away. Their last 3 away games have been 5-0, 5-0, and 4-0. So it's time for them to fix up and look sharp at home. And if they could just get a dent on Inter in this match, it will do their title chances a world of wonder. In fact, if Atalanta keep doing it, I might just try and do a cheeky trip and get to Bergamo like we did for Osimhen in Naples 2 years ago. So look out for that game. Starboy of the Week. Now, this one is an interesting one for me. I think in bronze medal, I would give it to Chidera Ejuke. He scored the winning goal for Sevilla in his first start in months, and this win took Sevilla into top 10 in La Liga after such a long time in the bottom half. Really good performance for Sevilla, and going away to Real Sociedad is no mean feat. In second place, I'm going to give it to Victor Osimhen. I think Victor Osimhen getting 3 goals in his last 2 games and a winning goal for Galatasaray against Alanyaspor is nothing that we should just act like it's normal. You know, he continues to build Galatasaray out and show his star player quality, but we have to dock points for the quality of the league. For me, my gold medal this week will be shared by 2 players. One, Umar Sadiq for scoring the winning goal for Valencia. La Liga is no easy league. Do not be deceived by what people tell you. He's taken Valencia out of relegation zone, has scored 4 goals in his last 4 games, 3 goals in his last 2 games, and been scoring some real excellent finishes and just showing his value to Valencia after his loan move in January. So Omar Sadiq is one for me, and may his form continue to shine. And also, joint top for me will be Sirodezes. We cannot overestimate the importance of doing it big on the European stage. Yes, it's the Europa League, but Sirodezes was unplayable for Rangers on Thursday night against Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce. I mean, he literally dog-walked Fenerbahce's defense. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 disallowed goals, which honestly, Fenerbahce can just thank the Stars for even helping them. They should have lost like 5-1. But Dezers was absolute magic. Phenomenal performance for Rangers. And honestly, like I said, he's very unlucky not to have been called up into the national team. But we can kind of understand the caveats considering our talent at that side of the pitch. So shout out to Umar Sadiq and Cyril Dezers. You're both my joint star boys of the week. So that's it for this episode of the podcast. Thanks again for rocking with me. As I said, if there's any birthday presents, if you made it this far, please like, share, subscribe, spread the word, drop your comments. Let me know what you think about the Nigerian national team squad selections. Who are you disappointed missed out? Who do you think should have been in there? Who do you think is very unlucky? Who do you think is even lucky to be in the squad? And what do you think could be the starting lineup as we try to prosecute these must-win games against Rwanda and Zimbabwe? I will be doing one more episode next week, Monday, ahead of the international break, just touching on player performances between tomorrow, Wednesday, and the weekend. And then, of course, it is international break time, which is what we're most excited about on this channel. And we have the big World Cup qualifiers to prosecute, so I'll be doing a full preview of those games. Until next time, take care, continue to support, and I appreciate all the love. Ciao, ciao.
Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and click the bell to get a notification whenever we drop a video. You can also find our social media channels listed below. And of course, up Super Eagles and Nigeriano the ever carry last.